All right. Again, this call is being recorded for training and public purposes for future use. So if you don't want to be on camera, please stay off camera. If you guys want to come off camera and talk to me, it's totally okay. I'm fine with whatever. I hope that during your time here today, you get to learn something that's super valuable to you, something you can educate your friends with. And so I'm very excited about that. So let me share a little bit about me. Who am I and why did I decide to do this? So my name is Elka Bostwick. I was born and raised here in Utah, in Draper. In fact, I've been here my entire life. Growing up, I always had horses and dogs and barn cats. I was president of FFA in high school. I was a secretary. I mean, it was my jam. That's what I did. I also did rodeo. But growing up, my dad, living on a ranch, my dad raised and bred Arabian horses. So there was never not a time that I didn't get to be around them. But lo and behold, none of my animals that we had actually lived inside. Anytime I wanted a dog or a cat or something to come in the house with me, I'd have to sneak it in late at night, hide it under my shirt, go into my bedroom. And that was what I did. And I'd sneak it back out the next day. And I did that a lot. But I got my love of animals from my dad. And what's interesting is I watched him to be courageous. He had so much strength. He had this powerful intuition for all of God's creatures. And I can't thank him enough for teaching me to do the same with them. So in high school, I went right into working with large animals at a vet clinic. I worked for a large vet clinic in Riverton, Utah, and I did that for 5 years. I loved it, and I had the best large animal vet mentor ever. He was another man that taught me how to medically care for animals, and he showed me how to be strong, have patience, and show compassion to help these creatures that we were working with, right? These cows and horses, pigs, and dogs. So I grew up and I realized that becoming a veterinary technician was going to be a career for me. It was where I belonged. I learned very quickly, and it would have been in 2000 and would have been in 2000 or 2001. I decided to transition into the small animal industry, and it was really great. So I was in the vet industry for 20 years. Will never be able to thank all of the men and women and vets and people that I learned from, including pet parents, right? We learn more from asking questions and all of that. So I'm not a certified pet nutritionist. I have learned everything I'm going to be sharing with you between now and all my future courses will be of things that I personally learned and experienced. But just like you guys know, pet nutrition can be super controversial. You're going to hear things from me and other people, and everybody has a different opinion on it. So it's really important that you take all of the information that you feel that you need, and I want you to create your own opinion of how you believe that pets should be treated, both in a physical manner and a nutritional manner, right? So I can tell you that I have been retired from the vet industry for 7 years. 7 years already. And 7 years ago, I decided to partner with a pet nutrition company where I learned a ton about all natural and holistic pathways to pet nutrition. So it's been something that has been very powerful for me. So I'm really, really excited. Now, during this time, I'm going to just strictly ask you guys to stay on mute. I'm going to show a PowerPoint presentation on a PDF. If you guys have questions, please feel free to just drop the questions in the very bottom once I am done. And it's just super simple and super quick. I'm not going to overwhelm you guys. You guys are going to be able to take this information and plug it in immediately and teach your friends and invite your friends to come learn alongside me. So at the end of the class, I will come off. If you guys have questions, comment in the chat box. I will also share any future classes I will be hosting. And if you guys can see her, maybe you can't because my name is in the way, but I've got my baby kitten, Olive, here. She is, well, I call her a baby, but I have never had a connection to an animal like I have with Olive. Like, they talk about your heart animals, your heart dogs, your heart horses. She's my heart cat, and I am obsessed with her, and she never is far away from me. So in all of my lives, you will probably see her doing something. Don't be surprised if she gets up and knocks like my products off of my shelves. Just ignore her. But she's sleeping, so we're hoping that she can stay asleep. So I'm going to hit the screen share. I hope you guys have a pen and a piece of paper. Can somebody give me a thumbs up? Can you see my screen? Fantastic. So today it's going to be super simple. We're going to be talking about pet food labels. for both your treats, things that you should be seeing and things that you shouldn't be seeing. It's a very simple thing, but a lot of people don't realize how important this can be. So the most important thing for us as pet parents to learn is how to read ingredients on pet food labels. Many of you guys are probably already doing this for yourselves, right? But I'm going to be honest when I say this, it's taken me over 30 years to read labels on my own food. It has, my best friend is on here today, and she can testify that it has taken me 30 years to finally step into going, maybe what I teach about pets should be something that I teach about myself. So know that these very same ingredients I will be sharing, these top 5, and we're going to go through each one of them, are things that not only are you going to want to look for in your pet stuff, but you also, a few of them you want to look for your own food. But remember, when it comes to pet food labels, you can actually ignore the front of the back package altogether. No matter what it says, flip it over and read the ingredients. Even if a vet recommends it, read the ingredients. There are a lot of vets out there that are better than others at proper nutrition. So just know this. So a few years ago, I was asked to help a client read her dog food label. And I was walking her through the ingredient lists. She was appalled. She was appalled that corn was the first ingredient, not knowing that the ingredients must be listed in predominance by weight. The ingredients that make up the highest percentage of the total weight as it goes into your pet, into the pet products, is listed first. This was an eye opener to her. She always assumed that those were just ingredients, not knowing that they were labeled in specific order by weight. So let's jump in. Now, we could talk about pet nutrition labels all day long, but we're going to talk about these 5 ingredients. There are many variables of ingredients that you should watch for, but the top 5 ingredients you never want to see in your pet's foods, treats, or supplements are these, and we're going to talk about them. So let's talk about ethoxaquin. It is a fat preservative, sometimes used in dog food and cat food that is, it's actually very controversial, and you're going to find that. It appears much of the fear of ethoxaquin in pet food may be related to its use as a pesticide in making rubber. Yet today, most safety experts would agree that when properly used, this synthetic additive is not toxic, nor is it healthy. So it may not be super toxic, but I'm telling you that it shouldn't be in anything your pets eat, and it shouldn't be in anything that you eat as well. So significance of liver issues remain unknown, but I am here to tell you that it is exactly what it can do in your pets after being in it. So in one study conducted by a manufacturer of ethoxaquin, and reported by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration, the effects of the chemical appear to be a dose dependent and include accumulation of hemoglobin, pigment in the liver, and it can cause elevated liver enzymes in the blood, which if you can imagine your pets eating the same thing every single day, they are, no matter how big or how low the dose is, they're still getting this. They're still getting this in the diet, right? So it can make a significant health significance in long-term feeding, right? So ethoxaquin can also be directly added to dog food at the time of manufacture. This is it's very rare these days, but it still does happen. So make sure it is nowhere in the ingredient lists. So for healthy pets, a trace amount of ethoxaquin is something that people and most pet parents overlook. Okay, just like us, we have a tendency to overlook things, right? All of the Roundup and all of the GMOs and stuff that can go into our food, we have a tendency to overlook it. But this is just a powerful ingredient. In fact, I put it number 1 on the list, that you find it in 0 of the ingredients that are in your pet's stuff. So let's talk about propylene glycol. This is a dog food aid or an automotive antifreeze. If you guys didn't know that, this is also a very controversial additive used to help preserve the moisture content in some commercial dry dog and dry cat foods. You may already recognize this chemical. Some of you may already, depending if you have a mechanic in your life, right? But you never thought about finding it in your pet's diet, including your own, right? So you may recognize this chemical for its more everyday use as a key component in antifreeze, right? Being a veterinary technician, I can tell you that I have seen more than my fair share of animals who have ingested straight antifreeze and the causes and the side effects of what this happens. But glycol is considered, this is what they say, is considered safer and less toxic than its more dangerous cousin, ethylene glycol, as well as ethoxaquin. So I still believe that it can cause anemia in your pets. It can be super unhealthy, whether it's in large doses or in frequent doses, right? Most humans who are inclined to vary these within their own food and their pet's food, um, it's going to have an equivalent over long term because it's going to build up the toxins in your pet's bodies again. So it's very important that you just ditch this one out as well. And you'll find that a lot of things that you read in your own pantry and in some of your basic stuff that you have in your medicine cabinet, you will find this ingredient in quite a few things. Next, be cautious of BTH in dog food, BTH and BHA. This is a popular dog food additive, and this chemical is used in certain pet foods to prevent fats and oils from prematurely spoiling. So when you open up that bag of dog food and you maybe just wad it up, right? And we're going to do a pet nutrition class completely on pet food storage in the future. But you know, when that is exposed to air, they put these chemicals in to extend the shelf life of the fat in food products, not just pet food, but also human food. BHT can also be found in cosmetics, pharmaceuticals, rubbers, jet fuels, petroleum products, and electrical transformers, and even embalming fluid. So please, please, please make sure that BTH and BHA are not in your pet's food. Again, this is the same chemical that has been known in many, many studies to cause cancerous tumors in both pets and humans. So this is another powerful ingredient that we all want to watch out for. Next is I put corn syrup because we don't want a lot of sugars, but specifically corn. There's a lot of myths that are going to come around corn. Is it good? Is it bad? Right? Well, that's going to depend on whom you ask. So I'm here to share with you some different basics so you can decide whether or not this is something you want to see. But in my personal experience, I feel like it should just be ex-nayed because of the GMOs that is in it. So let's talk about the general anxieties that are expressed over the use of corn in pet food. It seems to come up quite a lot with pet owners. You're going to see it a lot when learning about breeders, pet professionals, dog trainers. You're going to have a pro corn crowd, and it appears to be dominated by those who have have a vested interest in products made with cereal grains. Okay, and so you're going to decipher these by learning more. Makers and sellers of corn-based foods insist that negative stories about corn are simply unsustained myths and rumors spread about the internet by uninformed consumers. But the truth is, most of the exaggerated claims extolling the virtues of corn actually originate within the pet food industry itself and are unwillingly propagated by naive and well-meaning pet owners. It happens, right? You signed up for a reason to this class so that you can best educate yourself and the people that you're around. And this is just something I'm very, very powerful with. So myth number one, corn has a low glycemic index. The glycemic index is a way of measuring the tendency of a specific food to raise the blood sugar level of an animal. The higher the index, the greater the risk of unhealthy rise in blood sugar levels. So here are the and I can put this actually. Here are the actual glycemic index figures among dog food ingredients. Let's see. Okay, I don't know where my chat went. Okay, I'll do it in a minute. I'll do it in just a minute. I apologize. So it's something that it's a myth. It's absolutely 100% myth. It does not, it causes a scary rise. Also, I will tell you that corn right now can grow candida. Candida is a yeast that can grow in the stomach as well as the intestines. And yeast is not healthy at all for both humans and pets alike. And I'm just not a big fan of it. Corn is also used as a cheap filler, right? Because they can mass produce corn while it's being GMO grown, right? So they can make it grow faster, it grows bigger and in larger quantities, and it's not healthy. So these larger pet food companies are able to go out, they're able to just mass grow corn. They compromise the quality of the product and they make it cheaper. But us as pet parents are still paying the exact same price of the food, even though that the ingredients that are in the food are cheap and GMO great GMO made. So myth number 2 about corn. Corn is highly digestible. That is 100% false. As whole grain corn, it is not digestible very all. This is because that's because unless the kernel first refined into meal or as flour and then cooked, corn would be very difficult for a dog to digest. And so they break it down, right? And they put it and they hide it in the food. This is especially important that this should be an ingredient that should not be found in the first top 10 ingredients in your pet food list. Again, it's listed by predominance weight. So if you pull out a bag of dog food, you flip it over and read the ingredients, and the first ingredient is corn, that probably means that there is very little meat that is in that diet. So keep that in mind, and do some more research on these ingredients as well. So let's talk about byproduct, meaning meat or animal byproduct. So animal byproduct are what's left of a slaughtered animal after the parts intended for human consumption have been removed. This meat is processed down, right? And it's considered inedible by many cultures and many people. So this is animal byproduct. So if you are reading your food and it has an animal byproduct in, it means it can be any animal, any animal. Horses, pigs, cows, sheep, dogs, all of it. It can be anything. It also includes feet and gizzards and other things that you just don't want to be eating. So if it is a byproduct and it says chicken byproduct, or it says a specific named byproduct, that means that it is all of the body parts, the feathers, the beaks, the talons, anything that is not a part of the actual chicken breast. Okay, so keep that in mind. So meat or animal byproducts are just not an ingredient that you really want to find in your pet's food. Okay, but something I do want to bring up is there's a difference between a byproduct mill and a chicken mill. Okay, if you see a byproduct mill versus a byproduct, and it's not in my top 5 list, this is just something I want to share with you. But byproduct mill, okay, this is still something that's significant, is made of the waste material left over after the parts for human consumption have been removed. Okay, chicken mill. So if you have a pet food that has chicken mill in it, it's made from chicken muscle tissue, and the sources of chicken that can be questionable. Okay, so but chicken meal, salmon meal is a higher ingredient and means that there is more meat in the food. If it is a named meal, it's actually a good thing to have in your pet's food. It means it's a higher quality, right? And so I hope that is helpful. I hope that is helpful. So these ingredients are usually the leading cause of medical issues in pets. So be cautious when finding these ingredients in your pet food and pet treats. If you haven't done this yet, maybe after this class, run to your pet food cabinet and grab all of your pet stuff and see what you have in your closet. I will tell you that when I first started learning about this, I had some vegan strips. Very common, right? Everybody buys vegan strips. And I will tell you, lo and behold, propylene glycol was an ingredient in the bacon strips. And that was just something that is on the shelf. It's super convenient to buy. You're out of treats. You want to reward your pet. It's at the grocery store and boom, it's easy and convenient. But just start being aware of what you're putting in your pet's body, but also be aware what are you putting in your pet's body, right? So um let's talk about minimum digestibility. How many of you guys were aware that your gut or an animal's gut is actually their first brain? And we're going to talk about this more in some future classes that are coming, but your pet's gut is just as valuable as keeping their mind, right? How many of us take our pets for walks? We do things to help mental clarity. If there's spazzes, we throw the ball for them. We help them exert physical energy. We help them to keep their brain. There's lots of brain games out there that you can do for your pets, right? Well, it's super important to also think of your pet's gut. And we really want the minimum digestibility in your pet's food to be a minimum of 80% or more. This information is usually obtained. You can call the pet food company that has it. They sometimes will have it listed on their website, okay? And the digestibility of a pet food measures how much of the diet ingredient the pet actually utilizes versus pooping out. Right? We're going to talk about poop. Poop is super important in pet nutrition because that is where we get to see a lot of what's going on with our pets' food, both in dogs and cats. So the higher the digestibility, the better. And in addition, the dogs and cats are digesting most of the calories for energy. Did you guys know that pets burn calories while sleeping? Yeah, like even little Olive over here, she's got her eyes closed. She is burning calories while she's sleeping. Crazy, but they burn calories from protein and healthy fats in their diet. Adding a probiotic will also help the digestive tract absorb nutrients. Okay, so on average, I will tell you that on average, you want the minimum digestibility to be at least 80% or more. You would love to see a digestibility over 83% for me is ideal. And that is something that's really important. So if you're interested in a probiotic, that's definitely something we can talk about is probiotic and gut health is definitely in a future class. But I want you to discover what the minimum digestibility of your pet food is. Okay, so let's talk about hydration. Hydration in pets is very, 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 very important. How important is water to us, right? It is super important. Just like with humans, your pet's body will not be able to function as it's supposed to without water. Knowing that it is important for your pets to be hydrated is one thing, but keeping them hydrated is another thing, right? And I will tell you that cats, I'm going to have a cats expert on. I have a whole bunch of classes that are coming, but I have a pet. I have a really good friend of mine that is an expert in kitties, and she's going to come in and talk to us. But cats, they do not drink enough fluid in order for their liver and kidneys to continue to process all of the toxins that are coming out, right? Because toxins, you can have diet genetics and bad luck, right? But toxins can be picked up everywhere. So we want to talk about hydration. While we can't effectively make our pets drink as much as they should, like lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, right? There's a lot of additives and people put bone broth in their pets' water. There's a lot of different tips and tricks, but I will tell you that adding warm or cold water to their morning or evening bills, about a fourth of a cup to a third of a cup every day will go a long way in helping them to stay healthy. Now, this is specifically for dogs. For cats, a wet diet is 100%. I am for a wet diet for cats because they just don't drink enough fluids in general. But if you were to just add it, mix up the food, shake it up, it can make a gravy. This is going to help them because if you can imagine your pets taking the dry kibble, right? And some of you may feed a raw food or home cooked kibble, which is fine. I mean, those are probably got more moisture content in it than the dry kibble itself. But if it is a dry kibble, then I highly recommend you adding that water, because a lot of pets, and maybe you have your own dogs that have done this, they inhale their food, they love their food, they're eating that dry kibble, and then they go to the water bowl, they drink a ton of water, and then a little while later, it all comes up, right? And that's because pet food expands. And in fact, this is a great little tip, but you can actually take a kibble and put it in a bowl and put some water on it and watch how much it actually swells. You will be astounded. So that's exactly what happens in your pet's digestive tract, right? So it's a lot harder for your pets to digest and break down a hard kibble versus a kibble that has been softened, right? So if you imagine a kibble that's like this going into the gut, and then as they drink the water and it sits and it swells and it swells and it swells, your dog's belly just gets huge and distended and hard. It can become gassy, right? But by adding water, it's going to help them to hydrate it. It's going to help the minimum digestibility. It's going to help break down the food, and they're going to be able to process it easier. So just a tip and a trick. I will add bone broth, beef bone broth, chicken bone broth to my pet's food for dinner. So next, oh, I forgot. Sorry. So I want to share some of the signs of hydration, just so that you guys are aware. This is going to be more of a worry for both the small animal dogs and cats, but knowing the signs of when your pet is hydrated can actually save your pet from getting sick. And now that summer is around the corner, heat is about to step up, it's really important. So sometimes vomiting and diarrhea, a loss of energy, excessive panting, loss of appetite. They can get dry eyes. Sometimes their eyes can just get sunken in, just like with humans. They can get dry, sticky gums. So if they're tacky and you can pick up your pet's lip and you can just touch them, that's a sign of that. And their skin elasticity changes, and you'll be able to see it. So on your pet, like stretch their skin, and if it goes right back down, then great. But if it stays up, then that could be a sign of hydration for your pets. A sign of hydration for your pets. Definitely something to keep an eye on. Okay, next. Do any of these sound familiar to you? Sound familiar to your pets? Comment in the chat box or feel free to come off mute. I don't know why I don't have a chat box. I can't see it. Leave it to a newbie. Oh, there we go. Okay, Jill, let's see. Let's go back and answer. So I'm going to come off the screen sharing for just a second so I can see the chat. I apologize. Okay. What about meal, like turkey meal? Okay, so Nicole, as far as turkey meal goes, that means that you can guarantee that the animal is a turkey. Okay, you can guarantee that it is turkey. You just can't guarantee what parts of the turkey, but the odds are you're going to see more in the meat meal. You're going to have, which bone is good for calcium. You're going to see more of the chicken breast, right? But it's still going to have probably, it's probably not going to have the beak. It's not going to have the feathers. It's not going to have the feet in the turkey itself, right? But you're going to see more of probably the internal guts. You're going to see the bone. You're going to see more of the breast, and that is actually makes it a higher quality meat product. Does that make sense? But in pet foods, it's not going to specifically be like whole chicken breast or whole turkey breast. It's very rare that it says that. So does that answer your question? Is that helpful? This is Fearmong. I encourage everyone here to do their own independent research, try to put more weight on. Yes, absolutely. Like that is a really big thing, because a lot of pets in itself, I mean, this is why it's important to do your research and learn from everybody that you can, because pet food is super controversial. So I thank you for sharing that. Sensitive stomach and itching. Brielle, itchy ears, Yeah, food allergies. So let's talk a little bit about allergies. So for those of you that don't know, I'm not sure how everybody had found me. I know I see some familiar faces and some not familiar faces. I partnered with a pet nutrition company called Pottery. It is an all natural and holistic company. I've been with them for 7 years. I went straight from the vet industry right into it. And it's all about all natural and holistic supplements. We carry a dry kibble, but for me, I'm all about what is best for your pet. Because what is best for your pet may not be good for somebody else's pet, right? Just like humans, some of us may function better on a vegan diet than a meat driven diet, right? So it's really important to find a pet food that your pet does extremely well on. So allergies are happening all of the time. So when you guys talk about some of the allergies that you're experiencing, what are some of the things that your pet are is going through? Is it hair loss? Are you seeing I don't know if you saw the image that I had posted. Sometimes pets' feet and ears can smell like Fritos. I don't know if you've ever smelled your pet, but you'll see that's a yeast. That's a sign of yucky yeast. And usually comes in paws and under armpits, as well as in the ears. I've had people call me like, why does my dog smell a bag of Fritos? I'm like, oh, we got to take care of it. So pets can grow yeast both internally in the gut as well as externally. So itching, paws. Oh, yes. So I have a couple of big things that I love very, very much as far as resources for pet research. I love Dogs Naturally. She is an amazing, incredible. That is where I've gotten some of I do have some certifications. I also have my Master Herbalist certification that I am currently going through. So I love Dog Naturally. I love Rodney Habib. Habib. He is a pet nutrition blogger that has taken things to a whole. The truth about pet cancer is phenomenal. I've educated myself for years and years with them, as well as I love Dr. Karen Becker. Those are my three top that I love. And you will find tons of them. You can follow them on social media. Those are just some of my favorite. We can't feed chicken or beef, and mostly everything has chicken or beef. I spend hours at the pet store trying to find pet food and treats. Well, I do have some solutions. So at this point, if I would love to share some of my pottery products that I do have to offer in some of these areas. If this is something you're not interested in, I'll ask you to go ahead to leave the class. But before I do want to share my next class is May 22nd. And we are going to be talking about why human food is actually important. We're going to be essentially crushing the myth of table scrap. So if you guys are interested in that, you guys can get on the Eventbrite email that I sent you and reply back, and I can make sure I can send you that link. It'll be May 22nd from 12 to 1 p.m. So is everybody okay if I share a few things that Pottery has to offer in these areas? Wonderful. If I can pull up. Okay, so first of all, those that are curious, except for Kathy, I feel pretty confident with Kathy's question, but on a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you on your pet's current food? I would love to know. Are you a dry kibble feeder? Are you a home cooked feeder, or are you a raw feeder? I would also love to know that as well, because I'm going to share some supplements that are a great addition to any one of these diets. But if you're a 5 or lower on that pet food scale, I would love to schedule a pet nutrition consult with you and talk a little bit more about the pet foods that we can transition with. And Kathy, we do have a chicken, poultry-free and beef-free options that I do have. So I would love to schedule a pet nutrition consult with you. In fact, let me share this screen real quick. So I have, and you guys can screenshot this, or I may be able to pop these same options into the comments. But if you want to do an in-depth conversation and talk about your pet's issues, more or less in detail about pet food, if you will do me a favor and text the word consult to 801 851-1171. I would love to schedule a free 30-minute consult away from this, and really talk about our poultry-free options, our grain-free options, that we do have if you are on the scale of being lower than 5 on your current pet food. And if you're happy with your pet's food, I love that. So let's talk about allergies. So we have an allergy support. I'm going to get a handle on this screen sharing stuff. You guys are helping me learn. Thank you for being patient. So we have an allergy support plus. We also have a solution set. I'm going to share a few things about allergies that could be beneficial in adding to your pet's already existing food, especially if you're currently happy with your pet's food. You know, be cautious of some of the things that could cause it. Grains could cause allergies. It could be a food allergies. If you've had allergy testing done too, you probably will know what your pets can and can't have as well. So Allergy Support Plus, we have this for both large dogs, small dogs, as well as cats. And this is great for red irritated skin, seasonal allergies, food allergies, hot spots, and some other things, because many pets are super prone to this. So key benefits is this is going to balance the excesses of deficiency in the bodies. This is going to help to reduce heat in the body. Now, mind you, if your pet is hot in general, like if you find your pet, even in the winter, trying to find the cold spot in the bathroom floor, that may be coming from the meat that's in the current pet food that you have. There are some meats that have more heat to them than others. So for instance, my dog Tuki, he can't be on our red meat diet, lamb. For him, he gets so hot. We have a hard time cooling him down. So we really, when it comes to allergies and inflammation, we want to reduce the heat in the body. This drains phlegm. Unlike chalky pills, this is a chew flavor. I'll show you. It's a chew, just like this. And so you can crumble it up and you can sprinkle it over your pet's food. You can toss it in the air as a treat. And this is all of our stuff is developed by veterinarians and nutritionists, and everything is made and manufactured in the United States. Thank you for coming, Andrea. But could grain be a culprit? Yes, absolutely, Kathy. Grain could be a culprit. 100%, because there may be something in that grain that could be causing it. It could come from the yeast, it could come from it being GMO grown, right? So for me, grain, gluten in itself is hard to digest for humans. It's also hard to kind of digest for pets as well. So yes, Kathy, absolutely. So I love the allergy support. Now, if your pet is currently on Apoquil or Cytopoint or Benadryl or other things, I have many customers that have done extremely well on this combo that I'm about to share with you, that they have been able to eliminate, not eliminate, but slow down on the Apoquil and the Cytopoint and go farther in between injections. And I do have one that I can say completely 100% came off of Apoquil. So my first recommendation is allergy support. Also CBD is another option that does help reduce a lot of inflammation in the body as well. If your pet has surface, like hot spots, hair loss, red irritated, if they're licking their paws, if they seem to have heat spots, right? Red irritated skin. Let's say they go out on the lawn and they come in and they're like dragging themselves across the carpet. This is a spray. This is a skin support spray. I spray it on my hands and I will rub it into my pets. I can spray it underneath my dogs. It really cools down under the armpits, putting it in between the toes. I have Labradors who are prone to hot spots. This has been a godsend. This is also great for bee stings, swellings, and other things that I have had. So this is just a spray. It is alcohol free. It has no sting. It's topical. The product ingredients is tea tree oil, aloe vera, and chamomile, and that is it. In a diluted state, it absolutely has been a game changer. So if your pet has any type of topical red irritated skin lesions, this is definitely a go-to. If you have like a brachiocephalic dog, a pug or a bulldog or a Frenchie or something along those lines, and in between their skin folds, if you have a dog like that has the skin folds, this is another great product to have. You can spray it in there and it'll help cool a lot of the hot spots as well. And then this is probably my number one favorite for some allergies, but these three things have been a very much so. So let's talk about wild Alaskan salmon oil. How many of you guys currently, raise your hand, take a omega-3 or omega-6? Yeah, right. It helps reduce inflammation on a cellular level, right? So even when your pet has an allergy, whether it's a food allergy or a surface allergy, they can get inflammation in the gut, they can get inflammation in the skin, and this is amazing. Not only does it help with dry skin, dull coat, but I love it because of seasonal allergies, hot spots, and red irritated skin. You're actually able to get a handle on the core issue on a cellular level. So our wild Alaskan salmon oil it contains a preferred 14-to-1 ratio of 15 heart healthy omegas as well as omega-6 fatty acids. Not all salmon and pollock oil is the same, but I absolutely love this because it's not only going to support on a cellular level, but it's going to promote an optimally function immune system, healthy skin, eyes and ears, heart. If you have an older pet, all older pets should probably be on something that's going to help the heart, right? And all omegas do that. So I'm a really big advocate of having some of this. Now, if you're like, does it smell like salmon oil? You know what? It does a little bit. But it's not to the point where you're going to gag by pumping it on your pet's food. We also have a salmon chew. So it's a beef chew, just like the one I showed you that you can give. It's not like this. This is more of a liquid gold option that's going to help immensely, and you just pump it on your pet's food. I use it for my labs. I have a 7-year-old lab has been on pottery specifically, and neither of my dogs have ever had ear infections. I've never had dentals. They've never had any red irritated skin, and or I've been able to eliminate hot spots super quickly. So I'm a big advocate of the salmon oil. So these are some great products that you can add to your pet's already existing diet. If that is something you're interested in, if you're like, I can't handle salmon, the smell makes me want to gag, comment that in a chat box and I do have an alternative for you. It is not a pottery product, which is totally fine, because for me, I'm all about making sure that your pets have what they need. But there is some other ways that we can get some omegas into your pets' bodies on a cellular level. Do you guys have any questions about those three products specifically? Let's see. Dry kibble, home cooked and raw, interested. Awesome. Well, Nicole, I think we should probably schedule a pet consult and we can talk about how, if that's a way that you want to go, we can definitely talk about that and see if it'd be a good fit for you. Absolutely. We feed salmon-based food. Kathy, that's actually really great. Make sure that the salmon-based food doesn't have any hidden poultry in it. I have seen that before. I have seen that some salmon food will have like a chicken mill in it, which is not bad, but it still has a form of the chicken in it. So if you're looking for some options, we can do that as well. Do you guys have more questions? Anything else? Please feel free to comment or even come off mute. All right. Well, I appreciate you guys coming very much so. Again, I'm just going to share with you guys. Again, 801-851-1171. That is my business line. If you want to do a free pet nutrition consult and talk further about either the products we discussed or have any other questions about your pets, I would love to help. I do have a new customer order offer. If you text the word code to that same number, you will get a coupon code for 20% off new customers. And if you're an existing customer and would like to add some of these products because you didn't know that they weren't available, I'm doing $10 gift card codes, which is equivalent to the 20% off for new customers. So you guys can take screenshots of that. And if you have any additional questions, please let me know. There's not very many Elka Bostwicks on Facebook. You can find me. I'd love to connect and help you guys on your pets. What's your input on weight loss? My pup got into my mom's food and she kept feeding him and he swelled up like, so is he still swelling up like a balloon?
He isn't currently still swelling up. And when we went to the vet, they like make comments all the time, like, wow, he's a bruiser, like all this stuff. And I'm like, I know, I don't know. Like, we've been on different like food plans, and like I've switched some of his treats and stuff like that. But so I don't think he's getting any worse. But
Good.
I can't really tell if he's getting any better.
Okay, good. So let's talk about this for a minute. And then if anybody needs to go, you can. So let's talk about weight loss. So not only pets also can have a lot of inflammation, right? So we have to determine, are pets really fat, right? And why are they fat? And is a lot of it inflammation? A lot of it sits in the gut. Again, as I said earlier, pets absorb nutrients, not ingredients. So when a pet is not losing weight, my first go-to is let's talk about what you're feeding, right? How many calories are you putting in a morning and night? Are you feeding, mom's grandma's Folger coffee cup mug full of food every day, or are you measuring it in a preferred dry measure cup? And how much calories is he actually getting? Now, most pet food bags on the very back of it, next to the guaranteed analysis, is going to have how much your pet should be feeding. So I don't know how big your dog is, but let's say your dog's 55 pounds, okay? And you're like, my dog should be more like 45 pounds. You're going to actually feed them based off of a 45-pound dog. So you're going to come down. I wouldn't drop it, but you can gradually drop it and make sure you're feeding, because if you just drop it, you're probably going to starve him and he's going to go crazy and just be like, what are you doing to me? I can't
Yeah.
do this. So gradually start to lower it. Let's think about exercise, right? What kind of exercise is he getting? Is he getting enough to burn off those calories? How old is he, right? Because none of us look like we did in high school, right? Sometimes our metabolism slows down. So do our pets' metabolism. It absolutely slows down. So these are all things you kind of want to take a look at, right? Greenies. I will just spit out. Greenies are awesome for teeth. A lot of people use them, but they are so high in calorie that people could be on a weight loss diet and be super fit, and they could feed their dog those Greenies and he could just plump right up, right? So inflammation, exercise, how much are you feeding, right, are going to be super invaluable to weight loss. And swelling up like a balloon, a couple of things to come to mind is A, inflammation, and then B would be, when is he swelling up like a balloon? Is it after he eats? And does he eat quickly?
He eats quickly, yes.
Okay.
I noticed, and I know that I went to the vet like last week and they said that he has food allergies. So I don't know, like that could be like inflammation or something.
Yeah.
So it
Okay.
may not be that he necessarily like needs to lose weight, but that he has like something else wrong with him. I don't know.
So I want you to schedule a pet consult with me too, because I do want
Okay.
to go into this. But a couple of things I just want to share with everyone is, when we say swell up like a balloon, right? When our dog goes from having a sleek waistline to eating and they look like, the ottoman on the couch that we put our feet on, right? Um, a lot of the times they're inhaling their pet's food. Like, inhaling it causes them to swallow a lot of air. That's where a lot of people will go, my dog has the worst gas in the whole world. And it always comes on after he eats. The odds are that he's probably inhaling so much of that air, it's got to come out either this way or that way, right? So a couple of tricks, get on Amazon. Again, I don't sell anything like this, but my recommendation to you is to jump on Amazon and get what's called a slow feed bowl. Now, if you're feeding out of a stainless steel bowl, please continue to buy a stainless steel slow feeder bowl. If you're feeding out of a plastic, please make sure that it has, oh my gosh, it's free from BPA, I think is what it's called. And I can take a picture and send it to you. If you want to just text, if you text consult, also text your name and that to it. And I can text you an image of the ones that I use for my dogs. I use slow feeding bowls because I feed labs. So before you buy one, grab a muffin tin and feed your dog out of a muffin tin. It should slow him down, right? So he can't open the food and engorge it and swallow as much air. Feed him out of a muffin tin so he's forced to feed smaller and time him and see how long it takes him to eat. That'll also help reduce some of the balloon like swelling after he eats. Is that helpful?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes, you're welcome. Is there anything else? This has been fun. You guys have helped me to take all my nerves and throw them out the garbage. I appreciate it. Hi, Jill. I can't hear you. No. I see you though, which is amazing, but I can't hear you. Okay, type it in the comments, please do. Nicole, I'm so glad you got to come. And Trisha and Selena, thank you guys so much for coming as well. This has been awesome. Yes, I'm so glad. I'm sorry I didn't see your email earlier. I would have put you on earlier. Okay, so as far as wetting the dry kibble for cats, Jill, I'm going to ask you to feed more wet food. Wetting your cat's food is going to be a little bit harder. Olive is fine with me when I feed her. If I don't have a lot of wet food or I'm running low on it because my pottery order hasn't arrived, I'll take like a spoonful of the wet food, I'll mix in some kibble and I'll add water and make like a soupy gravy. She prefers the wet food with the chunks and gravy versus the pate anyways. So for her, that's a way that I can add it. Does that make sense? Mixing it in that way. But for cats, I have her mainly on a wet diet versus a dry kibble diet. She has kibble to snack on, but it takes her like 2 weeks to go through the food that's on the counter. And usually I have to dump it because she doesn't, it gets stale and she's like, this is dumb, mom. So that would be this little one. Is that helpful? Wonderful, wonderful. Well, I sure appreciate you guys. I appreciate you coming and spending your afternoon on a Saturday with me. Hopefully this was valuable. Please feel free to find me on Facebook. I would love to, get to know you guys better, and hopefully I get to hear from you guys scheduling some consults. Have a beautiful and happy Saturday. Peace out, like trout. Kiss all your fur babies on the snout. Bye, ladies.